ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. A variety of light sprinkles and clouds the remainder of the day, with a very strong breeze coming out of the south-southeast around 25 miles per hour, and look for it to be 62. Tonight, there will be a mixture of clouds and very light showers, with the temperature reaching 45. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 55. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Construction is wrapping up on Panama City's newest Oyster Bar. The Local 115 opens in December on Harrison Avenue. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Lucid Stream TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $42 a month when you use the promo code ESPNNW at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Are payment processing fees eating into your profits? With Bay County POS, local businesses are saving time and money with secure, seamless merchant services. Reduce credit card processing fees and save up to 3.9% on gross sales. From quick, contactless payments to detailed sales reporting, it's Bay County POS. For a free consultation, call 850-359-3906. Bay County POS. Local service, global standards.
PLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lumen. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
Live and local.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
This thing is going to be a financial and cultural disaster.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Whopper, 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 whopper.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What is going on with you, Northwest Florida? You're not riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher on tap for you for this dreary Friday afternoon. But hey, it's been a while since we've seen some rain, and maybe, that weather or that temperature will drop just a little bit more. Maybe we'll see some flurries over the weekend. Chances of that, Weatherman Rick.
I'd say slim to none.
Slim to none sounds pretty pretty strong.
Northwest Florida? I don't think so. I'm not feeling it.
We had, what was it, maybe 2014, 2015, where we had plenty of ice on the ground.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, we're going to get snow, we're going to get snow. I think before that, maybe we've seen some flurries. I can't remember it, but December 22nd, 1989, anyone who was alive at that point in time here in Panama City, we did have that blizzard that day. But since then, it's been a long time. It would be cool to see a flurry, but all you're going to do is see it. You're not going to be able to really experience it.
See, that's just it. If it's going to snow, man, no flurries, man. If it's going to snow. Let there be like 3 inches on the ground when we get up in the morning or something. If it's going to do it right.
Yeah, but
don't half-ass it. You know what I mean? This is snow. It's something that doesn't happen here very often. You know?
Both cheek it.
And I mean, like down here, it'll probably shut stuff down for a week.
Oh, it does. Well, not a week, but for a day.
Or until it melts,
Yeah.
But yeah, people, would be in ditches and stuff because nobody could drive in and down here, obviously, I'm sure. Other than the snowbirds that are probably down here, just living it
They'll
up.
be zooming through it.
So, they won't be phased. Everything will be great for those folks. But the rest of the people down here, I think, would be having a really hard time. Be a lot of cars to fix.
Well, you are listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And now it's easier than ever to listen to ESPN Northwest Florida. Caveman Rick, why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, check this out. We're available now on a smart speaker from your in-home listening. Just say, hey, Alexa, play 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car don't mean you can't stop listening to our fine, programming and shows that we have here every day. Just keep it going. Tell Alexa to play 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and keep the show rolling in the house when you got the car.
There you go. Thank you for that, Caveman Rick. And we also are your spot for select Orlando Magic games. Y'all stay tuned. So
if you do have one of those real quick, it says here to go to www.espnpc.com and click Enable Skill. And I guess that'll make that feature work for you.
Oh, there you go. And we always like to enable skills around here. We are, again, your home for select Orlando Magic games. Y'all stay tuned this afternoon, and I will tell you about a great contest that we have running and how you can win a couple of tickets to the Orlando Magic taking on the Sacramento Kings. That game will be on Saturday, March 29th. Also in breaking news, according to our good friend Danny Griffin, the Chicago Bears have put in a request to interview the Mud Dogs head coach, Coach Klein, for the vacant head coach position.
That sounds kind of interesting, old Coach Klein.
Yeah, old Coach Klein. Yeah, that's all obviously fake. That's from the Water Boy. Perfect H2O
that's
from
some
Bobby
high quality
Boucher.
H2O.
Yes, sir. All right, man. We've got Dave Ford coming up at 4:20. I believe he's going to be down there in Tampa for the Commanders-Bucks game because he is on the staff there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we'll talk to him about, some mental health awareness for going into this new year that we're 10 days into at this point. We'll also talk to him about the Commanders and the Bucks, the rest of the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, and of course the other Bucks, the Ohio State Buckeyes, as they take on the Texas Longhorns tonight, which you can listen to right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Cover starting at 6 p.m. for a 6:30 kickoff. We had the first round of the semifinals the first game in the semifinals of the college football playoff. That was Penn State and Notre Dame. I was picking Penn State. I picked Drew Allard to throw to put his team in position for a game-winning field goal. He did the opposite. He threw a interception for Notre Dame to put themselves into position. Riley Leonard still had to skedaddle down the field in order for them to get Jeter in position to kick a game-winning field goal, which they did. Caveman Rick, any thoughts on Penn State and Notre Dame last night?
That was a pretty good game. I got to watch most of it. A few, little bits and pieces here and there as I was doing stuff around the house. I didn't get to see everything, but it was a pretty good game. Started out, Penn State was looking pretty good starting out. They were, up in points. Thought Notre Dame was actually going to have some problems actually keeping up with them, and then Notre Dame did what they did all season long, except for that NIU game. They battled back, played tough, were able to come back in that second half, and he said get it tied up. Actually, if there was more time left on the clock and Penn State might have got the ball back, that game might have been gone the other way, to be honest with you, if there was more time there, which didn't fare well for me because I actually picked Notre Dame to win that game.
Yeah.
So I was looking kind of good at the end of it. But yeah, it was a pretty decent game. Riley Leonard, he did his thing. He, used his body, making plays, running up the middle, doing the kind of things that he did. One of the interesting things that we saw in that game was the zero receptions from wide receivers.
Yeah, I believe between the Ohio State loss and the Notre Dame loss for Penn State, they had a totality of 3 targets to wide. If it's not, no, it couldn't have been targets. 3 receptions to wide receivers. Maybe that number actually might be 2.
That was pretty crazy when I see that stat because I didn't really notice that during the game. I think it was 8 or 10 maybe receptions by tight ends.
Well, there's only 12 total receptions, anyways. Yeah.
And just kind of crazy to think that, you're passing the ball very little like that and not to, your main targets like wide receivers and still having an opportunity to win a big game like that. That was a little surprising to me. So that all being said, looking at, the next round, whoever wins in this game tonight, man, Notre Dame might be, having some problems.
We'll have to see how it plays out because it could be Ohio State. Could be Texas. We'll see. Obviously, the heavy favorite tonight is Ohio State. You do bring up an interesting point with the lack of targets to wide receivers. James Franklin said, that's a storyline, a part of the game. Drew Aller was lackluster last night. He was the Drew Aller that a lot of people were seeing throughout the year. Now, also with Penn State, they did not have a great wide receiving core. They don't have the Jeremiah Smiths or the Bouquets of Ohio State. They don't have the Ryan Williams of Alabama. They really don't have a great wide receiving core, but I don't think that that's an excuse at all. You do have to give a lot of credit to Riley Leonard for helping get them down the field, and as Fred Hapner just mentioned via text, don't forget the 15-yard hand to the face that put Notre Dame in field goal range. That was huge, as he says, and it was. It was a big-time penalty, but it was the right call. There was no arguing right there. I thought it was funny. Greg McElroy, who was the color commentator last night on the game, was sitting there. Drew Aller doesn't turn the ball over a lot. I think he had 9 career interceptions beginning with that drive. He had 0 interceptions. Now, he did have 2 interceptions that he threw into the end zone that were called back due to defensive penalties. However, the first play after Greg McElroy's talking about that, I believe it was the first play. Could have been the second play. Drew Aller, throws it to Christian Gray, and Christian Gray makes a great play there for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And, man, that's all she wrote. And you got to give it to Marcus Freeman, too, for the way that game looked in the first half, which I didn't get to watch any of it. I was coaching flag football out there. Team Dynasty was taking on the Ankle Biters. Kudos to the coaching staff and to the players for the Ankle Biters. We ended up winning on the final play of the game, but I'll say it to you. The call was questionable if we even got into the end zone, because in flag football, when that flag is pulled, it's not about where the ball is, it's about where the player is. But they made the judgment call, and we benefited from the call that was made, but the coaching staff didn't give us, there's 2 ways that could be handled, and the players came through with as much respect as you possibly can, and so did the coaching staff. So a very fun game last night. We managed to stay undefeated in a game where we didn't play necessarily our best. And I haven't seen the Ankle Biters play yet this year, but that is a really good team. They did a great job last night. So I wasn't able to watch really anything other than the final 9 minutes of the game. But listening to the second half, getting into the truck as the second half was starting, and the first play of the half for Notre Dame, after they sputtered, really it wasn't even Riley Leonard that led them to get that 3 points. It was their backup quarterback. And here comes the Fighting Irish in the second half. First play of the half. I believe it was delay of game. If it wasn't a delay of game, it was a false start. Can't remember exactly right, but I know that they lost 5 yards, and the radio broadcast crew was sitting there saying, this is not something that you see often. You see sometimes, I believe delay of game is what the call was, because you see that coming out of timeout sometime, but not the first play of the half, because as we know, the first 12 plays in the first half and the first 12 plays or so, give or take, of the second half are scripted. And most times, right? And because you have a little bit of time to put that together, and with Notre Dame to come out like that, and then they on that very drive, they get down there and they tie the game up with some great run plays, and Marcus Freeman has taken a team in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this year who the prior coach said you can't win here at Notre Dame because it's more about academics than it is athletics. And now that coach is over there at LSU and turning that program around, and not in the good way. And Marcus Freeman is over here at Notre Dame turning this program around and got them into the national championship game, meaning they had to beat Indiana. They had to beat Georgia. Now they've beaten Penn State. Those are two really big programs. Indiana had a great season. So congratulations to the Fighting Irish, as much as many of us do not want to see you in this national championship, that just because of the New York Yankee type hatred that we have for them, which is a good thing for sports. Here they are. And at the end of the day, I know that it's like, oh, well, we look at Ohio State and how great they're playing. At the end of the day, it's still football, and Marcus Freeman can come up with a great game plan, and we don't know how are they going to stand in the box, if you will, against Texas, against Ohio State. Anything is possible, and Marcus Freeman has got him to this point after suffering maybe one of the worst losses. I will still say that the Alabama loss to Oklahoma is probably one of the worst in college football this year, but that's my fandom speaking. You can make the argument that the worst loss in college football this year was Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois, but maybe it was the most valuable loss because of what took off, what has happened since then.
Yeah, since then, perfect, right?
Right.
Perfection. So, I mean, good for them. You talked about some of the people making plays, for Notre Dame in the second half. Didn't mention a couple of wide receivers, though, Aeneas Williams and Greathouse, I think is the other kid's name.
Yeah.
Both of those dudes made a bunch of great plays, too. So, I mean, if one thing they can look forward to playing against, if they do get Ohio State, like a lot of people will say, in that high-powered offense, maybe they can keep up in a shootout with a couple great receivers themselves.
Greathouse, which is what a great name, by the way. He was the guy who tied the game up again, yeah. I believe, early in the fourth quarter. Riley Leonard found him wide open, streaking down the sideline. He had to make one move to the inside of the field, and boom, now we've got a tie game. Penn State had a wonderful opportunity late in the game after putting together a big stop against the Fighting Irish, and it just did not work out for Penn State last night. And I think that some people are, again, James Franklin in big games just can't get it done.
Yeah. In his career, 1 in 15.
Now, if you're Penn State, I don't think that they should move off James Franklin just because he's getting you. Continues consistently gets you to this point. How do you feel about that, though? Is it time for the Nittany Lions to look elsewhere when really pickings seem to be slim?
Sooner or later, that'll probably be the case. Similar to other places, I'll, use somebody I'm familiar with, the Philadelphia Eagles. Andy Reid was there for a long time. He's a great coach, right? We're seeing what he's doing in Kansas City. He was there for, 15 years in Philadelphia, somewhere around there. He didn't win a championship. But we were good like every year, consistently winning 10, 11 games, winning NFC championships 4 years in a row. We did great things, but we weren't able to seal the deal. So, eventually you would think that, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to make a change, right? Where either the voice in the locker room, college is a little different because you don't, have the same players or the same staff. A lot of times stuff kind of is a little bit more fluid, especially nowadays. But I would think, what do you think, sooner than later? I would think probably.
I just think that he's got a decent leash right now just because of the consistency that he brings to the table.
It's just, if you can't get those, big wins that you need when you're having to get wins against teams like Ohio State or like a Michigan. Michigan might be a little different now with, Harbaugh being gone, but they still did pretty well this year, even after they got fleeced, during the draft by all their great players leaving. So, like I said, I don't know. James Franklin has a propensity for making a boneheaded mistake late in games and big games too. So, if you're in Happy Valley and, you're just content with being a bridesmaid a lot of times, then, keep the guy. But if you're in the, game end goal is going to be that you actually want to win a national championship or come a little bit closer, you might have to make that move. We've seen that in a lot of other, sports as well, where there's some coaches that, they can get a team like 3/4 of the way there, but they just can't get them over the hump and they have to bring somebody else in to finish the job. Some guys are just good at mediocrity.
Mediocrity is this mediocrity though?
No,
like,
it's better than mediocrity, but
it's
I mean,
like the same
it's
argument.
the same thing like year after year though. There's no like progression though. You know what I mean? Like we talk about progression with players all the time, and if they're not progressing, and the team's not getting any better, then like what good is it? You need to be getting better like every year, like every game. Well, where's the progression at with James Franklin?
This is the progression. This is the first time for them being in the college football playoff.
This is the first time we've had 12 teams.
It's expanded, but look at where they got to. They got to the game prior to. They got to the 14 college football playoff.
And they had the two easiest probably teams to play to get to where they were at too, and had the easiest road to get to where they were at as well. And that was a knock against them getting as far as they did as well. So I mean, the stage was set in such a way for them to have an easy path. So yeah, they did get there and they did some things. That's great. I mean, I'm from New Jersey. I'd like to see Penn State do something again, but unfortunately, I don't want to go back to like a bunch of nonsense and bad stuff. But like since the Sandusky stuff, they're probably gonna have to pay a penance for a while. You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, like you ain't just gonna have something like that happen and then you're gonna go right back to winning national championships again. I don't think.
Hey, there you go.
It doesn't work that way, or shouldn't work that way.
Boston Tim chiming in. Love these guys. We love you too, Boston Tim.
No
Chef
doubt.
Ross says, watch out or they will make the same mistake Nebraska did with Bo Pelini. And that's
Hey,
another
Chef
thing.
Ross, hope you're doing good, bud.
Yeah, my man, for sure. Call in or something. Give us some of your takes, Chef Ross. Who do y'all got winning the Ohio State-Texas game? You can text that into 850-215-6290, or you can join us on Facebook Live, and we'll read your comments off as they come in. Don Owen says championship game will be Notre Dame versus Ohio State, and Ohio State being the champion. And then I believe we
Indiana
have
versus Ohio.
There you go. Dave Neat says 31-28 Ohio State. Man, I'm kind of stuck on this one. I don't want to see Ohio State win, but I do think that they will. I don't think that it's going to be as big of a margin as maybe what others are thinking, but I think that they cover the 6, and I think that they cover that with 3 more on top of it. I think that it's a 10-point game. How many points would you be willing to give up if you're Ohio State?
I guess I don't know.
Chef Ross saying Ohio State wins tonight.
This is tough. With the showing that I've seen from Notre Dame last night, I would say 7 points. I know everybody's probably thinking more, but Notre Dame showed something. They showed that they could be down too.
Well, we're talking Ohio State, Texas tonight.
I'm talking about like if they move on and playing against Notre Dame. I thought that's what you were meaning. My bad. No, tonight. Against Texas. I think it's right about where it's going to be about
6.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just kind of curious. Just wanted to read off some scores this evening. How about you, Bone Crusher? What do you think for the game tonight? And we'll be talking about it in the second hour. We'll let you think about it and just point at me whenever you're ready to give us a score.
I'm going to go with Chef Ross' pick there.
All right. Ohio State. All right, man. I think I'm really excited about it because that's what the third game in the college football playoff that we saw that brought competition to the table, that you didn't know what was going to be happening by the time that the fourth quarter came around and there's 5 minutes left to go in it, and it was a great game. It was the epitome of what we expect out of the college football playoff. But again, I want you guys to know, like, when we're having these 12-team college football playoffs, there's going to be plenty of blowouts. The whole thing is about the opportunity. It's just like watching March Madness. If you expect every game in the first, second, and even the Sweet 16 and those rounds to be close and competitive, that's not why there's so many teams. It's for the opportunity. It's to give the opportunity for these teams who have played a pretty good season, or actually I would say very good season, and there's so many teams in college basketball, and the difference, the margin of opportunity for upsets in college basketball is a lot closer than what it is in the world of football. But we're just getting into this thing, and I think it's been a lot of fun. I think the Texas-Arizona State game for me was the best game of the college football playoff to this point, but that one last night was just old school college football. I loved it, man, and I'm excited for Notre Dame to be in this position. Even if Ohio State and Notre Dame, outside of rivals of my teams, those are going to be my 2 most hated teams in college football. and I'm still going to enjoy to watch that championship.
I don't care if there's blowouts. Of course, you want to see competitive games. I just want the teams to be ranked and seeded properly so that, everything works in order. I don't want them to seed and rank teams in such a way because they don't want a certain matchup for the first round or however. I just want to set up the way, it should be ranked, 1 through 12 or 1 through 14 or whatever we end up finding out getting correctly, and then let the chips fall where they may. If you get a blowout, you get a blowout. If you get a close game, you get a close game. But at least everybody was seeded correctly, and it played out the way it should have been played out based off of the best team being number one and so forth.
All right. Well, coming up next, we've got Coach Dave Ford. Coach Dave Ford is a coach around this area. He's been involved with youth athletics for a long time. He's also big into mental health awareness. So he would like some questions from you guys. If you'd like to have a question for Dave Ford, 850-215-6290. He's up next right here on the Afternoon Underdogs in ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
We're up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Hurricane Helene.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. A variety of light sprinkles and clouds the remainder of the day with a very strong breeze coming out of the south-southeast around 25 miles per hour, and look for it to be 62. Tonight there will be a mixture of clouds and very light showers with the temperature reaching 45. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 55. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast-charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
God, guns, and wrestling. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're in the doghouse with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher. We're live on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Hall & Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida present the Magic Express, and we've got 2 passes for you to watch. The Orlando Magic host the Sacramento Kings. That game will be on Saturday, March 29th. You're going to watch the game from a luxury suite. We're going to have free food for you during the game, and your hotel is included in the ultimate road trip. We're going to be taking a busload of sports fanatics to ride the Hall & Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. And to enter, it's so easy. That app that, Caveman Rick was talking about, the app in the opening segment. All you got to do is get that and crush the enter contest button. That's brought to you by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hall & Hearts in Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites. Now we've got Coach Dave Ford on the line with us. Coach Ford, how have you been, my man?
What's going on, brothers? Great to hear you guys.
It's great to hear from you as well. I believe the last time you guys ran into each other at Old Hardware, right?
Dave saw me, kind of impromptu, met me at Walmart, kind of approached me and asked me who I was, and good guess. As a matter of fact, I think it was same jersey.
He's rocking the throwback Brian Dawkins jersey. How can you miss that?
Yeah, right on. I actually, a couple times in that same store, I've had some people commenting me wearing the same jersey, so that's pretty neat, pretty cool. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, they need to go back to those full time. I love the Kelly Green.
Yeah, definitely. I was telling some people, too, what I love is the Saquon highlight now with him doing the reverse hurdle. It's going to be obviously on a lot of highlight reels from, a lot of years to come. And so it's the first big one with any Eagle player wearing the Kelly Green. So it's nice when they show that highlight and seeing those nice uniforms now when I see that.
Oh, without a doubt. You could do a split screen with him and Randall Cunningham back in the day.
That'd be sweet. I definitely would like to see that, too.
All right, since you're a Bucs guy, what's better, the creamsicles of Tampa Bay or the Kelly Green of the Philadelphia Eagles?
That's a great question. They actually faced off in 1979 in the big house, in the big sombrero, and we took that one. Philly was favored that day, and so as far as the showdown of the throwbacks go, we won 1-0 on that one. But as far as today goes, Philly's got the winning record.
Right.
We are terrible. We are terrible in the creamsicle jerseys, and for those of us who are lifelong Bucs fans, we don't favor those. They look great on TV, don't get me wrong. They really pop off the TV, and people who are not Bucs fans absolutely love the creamsicle. But overall, the Bucs have a terrible losing record in those, and only had 3 winning seasons. Went to deep in the playoffs in 79, 81, and 83. And the last time we wore those creamsicles in the playoffs, Dallas blitzed us 38-0. So, yeah, we don't like those things.
Well, again, we're talking with Coach Ford here, and Coach Ford is a big advocate for mental health awareness. So if you're listening right now and you have a youngin' or you yourself have any questions pertaining to mental health or to the NFL playoffs or to the college football playoffs for Coach Ford, text those in to us at 850-215-6290. All right, well, let's start off with it. What is the best way? Let's start with New Year's resolutions, because I think that does kind of have an effect on your mental health. I'm not really someone who I do kind of personal goals for throughout the year, but I don't hold myself to any sort of resolutions on I'm going to do this different, because kind of that mental health aspect is once you start failing in that, then you're kind of beating yourself up for messing those resolutions up. But what's your take on that? What is your take on how to keep the stick-to-itiveness for your New Year's resolutions? As we're 4 days away from what do they call it? Quit day? I forget what the actual... I saw some commercial where it's like, all right, yeah, people normally keep their resolutions for about 2 weeks.
So that's a great segue, okay? Anybody in the radio business knows that's a great segue. So I am not a believer in New Year's resolutions at all. Me, it's all about mindset, okay? It's got to be about a mindset. You have to find out what works for you, what works consistently, and stick to that. And I'll tell you why. If you think by the end of the year that you need a New Year's resolution, that means that most of what you did in that previous year was a failure and you didn't meet your goals. And so you think a miracle cure is going to be a 2-week semi-commitment to a new thing. Well, just like diets, guys, that doesn't work, okay? Diets fail. If you're trying to eat right, you got to stick with what works for your particular body type. It's like fingerprints. We all have 10 different fingerprints. And so when you talk about health and fitness, just like mental health, everything works differently for everybody. I can get on here and I can say 25 different things that worked for me, but that has no bearing on you guys in the studio and it has no bearing on the public. I think the best thing to say is, I'll give you this example. So back in 2020, if you remember, I'm a contractor for a client for the Air Force here in town. And we were told that we had to go 100% telework when the base shut down in April 2020. And back then, I was weighing about 215, so 6 feet, 215. So based on most books, I was way overweight. I didn't look it, but I was way overweight. So fast forward to now, I'm still obviously the same height, but I'm a 182 now. So how did I do that? I started really changing how I ate, how much I ate, when I ate, and I've been working out 5 days a week for the last 5 years. And that is a commitment. That is not a New Year's resolution, okay? That is not something I said, oh, well, let me try this. No, you can't say I'm going to try it. You need to be in or you need to be out. And That's an old school way of thought. It doesn't work for a lot of people. As I've found in coaching circles these days, the way I teach, the way I coach, and as we've seen in college football and we've seen in the NFL now, old school coaching doesn't exactly stick, it seems, for the majority, okay?
Yeah.
Coaches like Mike Tomlin, who I absolutely love the guy, I've adopted a lot of his strategies. He is seemingly not getting the output on the field that he'd like to get, like he did back with Joey Porter, like he did with those kind of guys back in the day who were dogs on the field, right? He could get in their face and he could say what he needed them to do at that moment. Well, you got guys on his team now who don't respond to that. He's got a certain wide receiver who throws fits on the field, throws his helmet, and he's pretty emotional. He can't deal with that kind of stuff, okay? So the same thing with New Year's resolutions. It really goes across the board. Can you put the blinders on? Can you be a horse? Can you look straight ahead and not to your left or right, up or down? Can you say, look, I'm going to do this. And not only am I going to do it, whether it's cold outside, whether it's rainy outside, whether I don't feel good, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, do it. Because it will pay off in the long run. I have chronic pain throughout my spine. I've had it for the last 19 years. I suffered a traumatic injury in 2006, and I'm in pain from the second I wake up to the second I fall asleep. That's all I know anymore. But I don't let that crap stop me. Nobody even knows I'm in pain when I'm walking because I don't show it to you. When I get at home, I'm kind of a different person. We're also males, and that's what we're taught to do by society. I also understand that, too. You know, we can get into societal norms and all that psychology at another time. But
we got 9 more minutes in this segment before we start talking football. So wherever direction you want to go, we're ready for it.
I mean, doesn't that also help, like, when you kind of go with the mental health thing? Like, for men, they don't, supposed to not show it, right? Like, I had, with my ex-wife, a lot of health issues. A lot of times I wanted to, feel bad, even like cry and stuff, and, didn't do it, held it in because I held to, be strong for the family and, try to, be there for them. And now that that's all said and done and over with, now I'm finding myself a lot more vulnerable and like emotions and stuff like that now, probably because, I'm like long overdue for getting some of this stuff out. So, it's probably better to get it out when you need to instead of keeping it bottled up and inside for a long time.
First of all, kudos to you, Rick. I appreciate you telling everybody that and being vulnerable. We need more men to do this kind of thing, and this is incredible that we're doing this on live radio right now because, look, in 2025, you can be a real tough, strong man's man, and if you ask me, you're not a real man if you're not vulnerable, okay? I will tell the toughest dude in the world right to his face, I don't care how many muscles you have. I don't care if you can squash my head right here. If you can't tell me who you really are, then you're not a real man, okay? And that's just straight up. I had a failed marriage, and exactly what you were talking about, that was at the crux of it. I have a lot of PTSD from those days where I was just totally, really stripped down and told I wasn't enough, told I wasn't a real man because I didn't know how to fix every stinking thing that a man is expected to fix. I can't crawl under a hood and fix a motor. I can't get my drill and make a shed out back. That's just not the gift that God's given me, and I'm cool with that. But I'll tell you what, I'll go toe-to-toe with any sports nerd in the world. I'll go toe-to-toe with any coach, and we can get in the gym and we can do all that kind of stuff. And I think at the end of the day, the best thing that we can do with all this stuff, whether we're talking about New Year's, whether we're talking about committing, is you have to be, just like my book, Show Up For You, you have to be pouring into yourself. You have to do that first. And we have been told as men for a very long time, women too, we have both been told that you are selfish if you are pouring into yourself, that you are selfish if you are looking out for number one. And I'm here to tell you that is a lie. That is a complete lie. There's a very fine line there. If you are only concentrating on you and you're not loving on the people around you, yes, you're selfish. But you can't be there for those people that you're loving on if you're always giving everything you have to them, because you're going to turn around and you're going to be completely empty. And they're going to look at you going, dang, Dad, like, what's wrong? What's going on? And that's a question I've had to answer too many times. And I had to make the decision, you know what, I can't let my kids see me like this. So I need to pick myself up off the mat. And I can't let my spouse see me like this because it's not her fault that I'm a people pleaser. What's on me is that I can still please people and I can please myself, but you have to have that cup full on your end first before you can be pouring into everybody else.
That's speaking of segues that you brought up earlier, people pleasers. That's a tough one to kind of get over if you are someone who's kind of a yes man, if you will. What would be some of you? What piece of advice would you share with people who, be it the boss man or be it just some of your friends who tend to take advantage of you? What kind of advice would you give to someone who claims to be or is a people pleaser?
Wow. Yeah.
Here we go, buddy. We might be going for the whole show today this afternoon.
No, I love this. I really do. And one of my best friends in town, Coach Snell, just commented on the feed. He and I were just talking about this a couple nights ago. He just got my book, Show Up For You. He really needed it. And I really appreciate his support. So shout out to him. But that really taps into what we're doing right now is being open, being vulnerable. And yes, I was a 100% people pleaser for most of my life up until about 2 years ago. And I finally said, look, I got to make a choice here. Am I going to always try to make everybody happy around me and serve? But at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. And I'm looking at the next day, okay, how can I serve everybody again today? And I'm like, man, I'm really not, I didn't have an anchor, right? And I stole that from The Rock. He made a video a few years ago saying that his anchor, no matter where he is in the U.S. or in the world, he's working out. And he's doing that workout in the morning, and he probably gets a workout in at the end of the night. That is his anchor because he suffers from a lot of mental health hang-ups. His story is deep and immense. And you talk about a guy who I respect because he's earned all of it. The dude earned all of it. Nobody handed him a thing. I admire him. I support him. And we have to have an anchor in our lives. Mine is the gym. Mine's getting out there and throwing weights around. Mine is facing my demons of chronic pain. My body telling me, dude, you're too old. You can't go out there and hang with the young guys on the basketball court anymore, which I've proven wrong recently in the past couple of months. I got my son's friends asking if I'll come out and play. So, it's not a pride point. It's a way of giving me motivation to say, you know what? Not only are you helping yourself because you love basketball, but you're helping this next generation. And also your son's watching you fight. He's watching you not give in to the gravity that all of us who age, we succumb to it. We all have a time clock. And, number one, I'm an athlete. That's what I was born to do. But we don't get to do that very long.
Yeah.
And I've been a coach for 2 decades longer than I ever was an athlete. But when I think and when I move, my body still says, oh, man, you can get to the rack, no problem. My body says, yeah, bro, that's not happening.
Shoot from shoot from the perimeter.
Right.
How's the mid-range?
Yeah, exactly. And in my brain, it's like, man, I still want to mix it up. I still can get there. I can get this guy off me. But when you have things that just don't work correctly anymore, that's where you have to be a mature adult and say, if you still want to play longer, that's cool, but you got to make adjustments. And that's the exact same thing we have to do with our mental health. Is you can still please everybody around you, but you got to make adjustments. And you got to figure out, what can I tweak here and there? Because I do love making other people happy, but I also need to love myself. And I also need to put me in that where it's people's like, I'm not putting myself first over everybody. I am putting myself first so I can be there for everybody.
Yeah, I think you summarized that perfectly. Again, we're talking to Coach Dave Ford, and make sure you go to Amazon right now and go type in "Show Up For You." It's a daily motivation for the grind called life. He's also got 2 other amazing books along with that, but go get that one so that you can show up for yourself. Antonio Snell saying people pleasing leaves your cup empty, and a great answer there from Coach Ford. Coach Ford, we're up against a break. Do you mind hanging around with us for another segment or 2 maybe?
You already know, brother. Let's get it.
All right, it's Coach Dave Ford, the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher. Will be right back.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. A variety of light sprinkles and clouds the remainder of the day, with a very strong breeze coming out of the south-southeast around 25 miles per hour, and look for it to be 62. Tonight, there will be a mixture of clouds and very light showers, with the temperature reaching 45. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 55. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorrento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. You're gonna be mine! Woo! ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher. We are the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. A little public service announcement for you all. The Women's Civic Club of Panama City Beach presents Diamond Jubilee Gala, Dance, and Charity Auction. You can celebrate 60 years of caring and sharing in our community. Mingle with friends, dance. You can bid on auctions and support a cause. This will be Saturday, February 1st from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Boardwalk Beach Hotel and Convention Center. That's 9600 South Thomas Drive, Panama City Beach. Visit WCCPCB.org for details and sponsorship information. We left off talking with Coach Ford. Coach Dave Ford is an author. He does many things. He's also on the game day staff there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he's also a big advocate for mental health awareness, and we've been talking about that. I think what we're going to do, Coach Ford, is just kind of continue that portion of the segment into this segment, and then we'll go. If you have time, we'll take another segment and talk about the college football playoff and the NFL. But specifically for athletes, we just heard the rejoiner coming in. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Give us some advice on how to beat the man.
I love the Ric Flair reference, man. Every time he psychs me up. What an inspirational dude. He didn't make some good life choices, but he's the GOAT wrestler. I don't think that's any debate about that. To beat the man, if we're putting it in the metaphorical context, to beat the man, I guess beat the enemy, inner dialogue, right? This was something else I was talking about to my guy, Coach Snell, the other night. I was letting him know my inner dialogue every single day is harsh. And I have used that to my advantage for the greater part of my life. But there have been times in the last 12 to 15 months where, on this journey trying to level up in sports communications in that part of my career, it's been pretty dark. A lot of rejections out there, hyper-competitive job market, and people really don't care what you did in the past. People have no investment emotionally at all that I worked for the Jaguars 22 years ago. That doesn't measure up.
Oh, I didn't
really
know. No, we can't talk about the Bucs no more. No, I'm just kidding. Continue on.
It's really that John Cena effect, like you can't see me kind of thing, and it's really what you're about doing now. But the inner dialogue says to me, well, you know what? Yesterday doesn't matter at all, dude. You know, prove yourself again today. What are you going to do today? And I do have a T-shirt that says "Beat Yesterday," and I tend to wear that probably once a week. It's one of my favorite shirts. People around town will see me with it a lot, and it's from a brand called Compete Every Day, and I've contributed to their website a few times. I love what they do. It's the same kind of mindset, same kind of creed that a lot of people in our space, we really just gravitate towards that. It's highly motivational, it's highly inspirational, and it's about keeping the blinders on, like I said earlier, and I use that a lot because it's very effective. If I was a horse, that would be just perfect for me, that I wouldn't be able to look around because I am guilty of looking too far ahead down the road a lot. But the inner dialogue always keeps me honest. And sometimes it beats me down too much, and it makes me feel like I didn't do anything at all during the day, when that's just not true. I do a lot every day, whether it's my full-time job, whether it's my other interests in writing or, being on the radio today or being in the gym or coaching. I'm always doing something. And but your mind will tell you that you're not doing enough. And if you let that win, you're in for a long day, and you're in for a long week, and you're in for a long month, and possibly a long year. And I've been down that road before. I wouldn't suggest it. I think that you need to, and this is for everybody, everybody needs to find, again, how can you get that inner dialogue to just tone it down a little bit. You're never going to quiet it. You're never going to make it cease. Because it is healthy to have something going on up there that is talking to you. But just don't let it dominate the conversation. And the way that you can talk back is by finding that anchor that we talked about last segment.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to Bible study, whether it's coaching like you're doing for flag football right now, you seem to be really enjoying it.
I love it.
Whether it's like me, finding an excuse to get on the radio with you guys because I miss being on the radio. We all have things that are super, super healthy for us, and we need to do more of that. And like for me, I was thinking about, going to support my guy, Coach Memon tonight, who we were side by side at Mosley, won a whole lot of basketball games in this town a few years ago, and he's coaching at Bay now. And I was thinking about, maybe popping in and showing I was there to support tonight. I love watching basketball. I love supporting guys I've coached with. Coach Snell's another one. We need to find avenues as men and women where we are fulfilling what makes us happy. And I'm going to say most times what makes us happy has nothing to do with making money at all. Money does not solve your problems. It just makes life a little bit easier, and it's necessary. And that's it.
It's just like a good tool. It's like a good tool. The better that your tool is, the easier that you can make that job. But at the end of the day, whatever tool that you have in front of you is still going to help you get that job done.
For sure. You just have to find those things that make you smile on the inside and help you breathe a little bit. And I really suggest to everybody, don't look at a New Year's resolution. Start remembering who you are. Go back in the depths of your brain and say, what did I used to do that made me happy, and why did I stop doing it? And I need to get back to that somehow, some way. And I've told my fiance for the last few years, I think what is destined for me is I'll end up being an older guy coaching young kids, just because that's the grassroots of basketball. That's where it started for me, and that would be going full circle when I started coaching at 17.
Yeah, that's for me. It's I would love to be able to do something like this for the rest of my life, or be able to continue calling high school football games, collegiate football games. I mean, you know, hey, if the sky is the limit and I can call NFL games on the radio, that would be fine. I don't want to wear makeup, so I don't think I ever want to do anything television-wise or anything like that. But, you know, if the Lord wills, then I'll follow that path. But, yeah, that's, for me, being involved in sports in some way, be it coaching, be it, you know, officiating, whatever, as long as I can keep what I felt made me who I am today a part of my life, then I feel like I'll always be able to find that satisfaction. And for me, happy is not something that I chase. I don't chase anything other than being content. And I'm not always content. I'm not. I'll be the first to admit that. But that's where I want to be, because the highs and the lows are a lot less sharp. And so that's where I try to stay at. You mentioned Coach Memon over there at Bay High. Well, Coach Snell said the Bay High girls basketball team, they're on the road tonight at Choctaw, and the boys play at home tonight versus Rutherford. So come out and support if you can. And because of Antonio Snell, Coach Snell, tuning in, we're going to be getting him on the air. So Coach Ford, thank you for that relationship that you've kind of birthed right there. You mentioned earlier rejection. And sometimes you have to go through a lot of no's to get that one yes that you seek.
Yeah.
Well, my question to you pertaining to that is dealing with rejection as an athlete, because sometimes you'll try out for the Michael Jordan, prime example. You'll try out for the middle school basketball team. You don't make the team. What are some tips that you have for dealing with rejection?
Oh man, I love this.
Yeah, we're getting your funny bone right now, huh?
This is the stuff that gets me really, really juiced up, and so I appreciate the content. But this is the thing. So I was talking to my daughter earlier. She's 21 now, and she's going through the normal struggles. When you're in the early 20s, you go through a lot of lumps. You go through a lot of disappointment. You're trying to find your way in life. And which is what my book, What's Next, is all about, that kind of thing. And you're really trying to figure out, where do I fit in this big, challenging, sometimes very mean world? And when rejection comes your way, because there is no matter of if, it's a matter of when. When it comes your way, you really have a choice to make. Are you going to let it tell you that you're not good enough? Are you going to let it tell you that you can't compete with these other people? Or are you going to look it in the face and say, okay, you know what, you won this time, but I'm going to come back again. And hey, you may win the next time, but I'm going to keep coming back again. There's a bracelet I used to wear called Fall Down 7 Times, Get Up 8. It's that kind of mindset that I roll with every single day. I've taught it to my kids. I've coached all of my athletes that way, all my former students. And even adults I talk to, grown men I talk to all the time about we are going to get knocked down way more than we ever are standing up in life. That is a fact, and it's inarguable. It's not even a debate. But it's a matter of, because people say, what is your decision to make? And I tell them, there's no choice. There's only one thing, and that is you get up again, because there's no losing, there's learning. That is
beat yesterday, and there's no losing, there's learning. Okay, I'm getting two new tattoos tomorrow, Coach.
Those are the two quickest and most effective ways to gaslight negativity and rejection. Because if you're going to gaslight anything, gaslight that dark force that's coming at you and tell it, look, you're not getting in my head. You can stay out there and you can go somewhere else. And I have heard a couple of things come my way sometimes. That's that toxic positivity. And I laugh at that. I'm like, toxic positivity, that's an oxymoron. That doesn't even make sense. So if we want to get grammatical and have a battle with that too, good luck, because I'm going to beat you with that too. There is nothing toxic about being positive. Put me in a room of positive people all day long, please, because we will build mountains. We will win championships. We will get fitted for rings, and we are going to win a whole lot of things, because I've never won anything with a room full of pessimists, and I've never won anything with a locker room full of people who are negative and telling me this is too hard, I can't do this. In fact, when I hear can't, I look at that person dead in the face and say, I guess we can't have a conversation. That's what we can't do. But what we can do is we can talk about how we're going to win, how we're going to level up, how you're going to have a strategy to not feel the way that you do today. Because if you didn't get that job, if you didn't get that promotion, if you didn't get that diploma today, there's one way to fix that. It's to decide you're going to get it tomorrow. That is the only way to look at it.
Another...
Right on.
I love talking about this stuff with you, man. Beat yesterday, and it's not losing, it's learning. That's, last night we were down by 1 point with 43 seconds left, and in my mind, the kids putting together a stop in the final minute of the game and getting the ball back, to me, and I would never tell them this personally, but it was like, you did your job. And I'm the defensive coach, right? So that's, that's what our goal is, but at the end of the day, we're a team, so it's not just about the defense, it's about everything. But you put yourself in a position to be able to win the game, and you fought. It was a night where the energy was not where it normally is. It had been about a week and a half since they had even played a game, and so they were kind of getting back into the whole routine and everything. For me, it was, I'm proud of you. And I told them this after the game. I'm proud of you for fighting, but we ended up winning the game. Final play of the game, and it was great for them. The other team, man, they fought their tail off as well. But I just love to see that fight out of the youngins, and that's a hard thing to teach. Is that something that you could teach someone, or is that something that they have to want on their own to fight for what it is that they want, or in some cases need?
It's both. Now, you have to have an X factor. You have to have the it factor. That is something that you're born with. You can't teach that. What you can teach is the will to be resilient. You can absolutely teach strategies on how to deal with rejection, how to get up from that hit where your bell just got rung and you can't see straight, and you got to go tell your coach, look, I need to play off, but I can get back out there. And like you said last night, the situational awareness of being in a game with 43 seconds left, what are you able to teach these young minds on the sideline, because they're all looking at you in the eye, and they need something from you in that moment. And you have to be able to deliver that. That's everything. I mean, for me, I love being in the fight like that. I miss that every single day. That is like the best kind of drug for me, is to be in that kind of positive adrenaline where young minds, young eyes are looking at you to deliver a message that they need from you in that moment. And, man, when they go out there and they execute it, win or lose, if you see them execute what you told them to do and they trusted you, that is winning. It has nothing to do with the scoreboard at that point.
Right.
And for anything to say anything otherwise, it's just straight up wrong. Now,
I think that's where it becomes where it's more pride on the coach's behalf than it is trying to teach, because we're talking about rec league flag football, which has no bearing on the future for anything other than their memories.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, we got to take a break. Coach, we got to take a break because we're up against the hard break, getting ready to go into hour number 2. When we get back, we can wrap up this conversation, and then we'll dive into some college football playoff and some wild card round NFL playoffs, all right? All right, we'll be right back. You're right with the Afternoon Underdogs. Keep it locked in and give us some of your takes for the NFL playoffs.
You're home for the NFL. ESPN Northwest Florida.
NFL playoffs live here. Tomorrow, the postseason starts with wild card action. It's the Los Angeles Chargers at the Houston Texans. Coverage starts at 3, kickoff at 3:30, followed by the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Plus, it's a wild card triple header on Sunday. Listen live in ultra high fidelity right here on your home for the NFL on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday evening. As we head into tonight, clouds and very light showers and a low of 45 with a moderate breeze at 15 miles per hour out of the northwest. For tomorrow morning, clouds and a temp near 47. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a high around 49. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Is your car pulling left or right? Do your tires look like they're losing their roundness? These are all symptoms that your car is in need of an alignment. Here at Alford Tire and Service Center, we offer all sorts of services, including alignments just for $89.99, which is backed by our nationwide warranty and easy financing options. If your vehicle feels like it's steering you off the road, let us steer you back in the right direction. Located on Tyndall Parkway in beautiful Callaway, we do it all at Alford Tire and Service Center.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Jalen Suggs for shouting me out. Appreciate that. Holland Hearts, ESPN Northwest Florida present the Magic Express. You can win 2 passes to watch the Orlando Magic take on the Sacramento Kings Saturday, March 29th. You're going to get free food. It's going to be up in a luxury suite, and your hotel is included in the ultimate road trip. We're going to be taking a busload of sports fanatics to ride the Holland Hearts Express, or Holland Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. Let me get that correct. To enter, what do they got to do, Caveman Rick?
You just have to go to the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click on the banner that says Magic Express.
Nope, it actually says enter contest. It says it says enter contest, but that's brought to you by PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Holland Hearts in Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive, and Home 2 Suites. I apologize for that, Caveman Rick. I just handed him over, like right at the last second. I handed him over the little paper, the
hey, I tried, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I'm apologizing, because I don't want to feel like Caveman Rick doesn't know what it is. No, I threw him under the bus a little bit there, so I'm taking
the
responsibility for that. That's Caveman Rick was the speed bump right there.
It was hauling my heart off my body.
We'll run you over to get to Orlando.
That's it.
We've got Coach Dave Ford on the line with us. Y'all go over there to Amazon and type in "show up for you" and get that, not the latest book. The latest book is Ant Hills in the Outfield. Also, I would recommend that one as well. And if you live here in Panama City and you like the books, you get the books, you like them, I'm sure that Coach Ford will come over there and sign them for you. Coach Ford, thank you for joining us here for hour number 2. Is there anything else? We were talking about beating rejection and, how you can teach youngins. Is there anything else from the mental health aspect of things that you would like to touch on before we move on to the playoffs?
I just think that the biggest thing is resiliency. That's the best thing I can say. The R word that everybody, young or old or in between, needs to learn and to live by that. Be resilient and to not let that inner dialogue win the day. And you can take your lumps. That's what life is. But you have to fight back, and you have to find what works for you, not what works for somebody else, but works for you on a consistent basis. Find your anchor. Find it, keep it, hold on to it, commit to it, do it every day, do it for whatever schedule works for you, and don't sell yourself short, because at the end of the day, you have to be your best friend.
You have to be your best friend. Take that, heed that advice, y'all. Heed that advice. I've got plenty more to say on that, but we're still fresh. I still got the Band-Aid on the wound from all that. So just heed that advice. Be your best friend, and it will take you a lot longer than ending your life shortly. Let me just put it that way. All right, Coach Ford, tonight at 6 o'clock, coverage starts right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, and the kick is at 6:30. Do you have any thoughts on the game last night, rather? Notre Dame, Penn State. What was your takeaway from that game?
Yeah, plenty of thoughts. Great game. Being a football fan and obviously being the first year of this many teams, I've really dug this playoff format. The game wire to wire last night really took you through some peaks and valleys. And I'll tell you what, Penn State had a stranglehold on the game in the first half. I thought for sure that they were wearing Notre Dame down. They were physically beating them up. And they were winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Defensively, there was no reason to think that Notre Dame was going to withstand that. But I was wrong. And sometimes, it doesn't matter how long you've been watching football. I've been watching since I was 4 years old. And I really didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I give credit to Notre Dame. Like you, I am a Notre Dame hater. And for no other reason other than the fact that there's just that narrative out there that they are above everyone else in college football, even though they haven't won anything since 1989. That's fine that they were in the national championship game, which was really an exhibition game against Alabama that year. That wasn't even fair. And but Notre Dame, is always one of those that you love to hate, just like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because, look, it's not about what you did so many eons ago. What have you done lately? And so what I will say as a college football fan, this is great for college football that Notre Dame is fighting like this, that they're earning it, that they're showing that they're not entitled. And I give them all the credit in the world for withstanding that storm last night and fighting their way and earning into the national championship game.
Yeah, and they had to go through, a bad first half. They had to overcome some turnovers that became not turnovers in their favor, and they had to get a late game turnover, and that's something that they've done essentially all year long. And then shout out to the kicker Jeter, his dad in the stands videoing the kick and everything, and for him to coming off of an injury and being one of the better kickers, transferring in from South Carolina, going through the injury, and to be able to knock in that game winner, I'm sure was huge for not only himself but for his dad as well. His dad seemed more calm than he did on the field. Go ahead.
Transfer the kicker, but I mean, look at the quarterback too, and Riley Leonard. He was a transfer. I mean, this is
that's not a program that
that's
does
what I was
going to
say. Yeah, because it's Notre Dame. This is like, usually, you get, a scholarship if you get one, or you walk on and you're just happy to be there. And then, like, if you're there, you don't want to leave usually. And, they're not the kind of school that usually would take in, like, he said, like, people like that. So, but I guess they have to adapt, too, now if they want to try to compete in this landscape that we have in college football nowadays.
Yep.
They're not like Dabo.
Dabo's trying, man.
Well, I mean, and then, you know about Marcus Freeman, I mean, he's always bought into the fact to where, like, he's even, like, changed his religion and stuff to, be coaching there, so.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman is really running a great program. And he is somebody that I've enjoyed watching him literally grow right before all of us, especially with the tough loss to Northern Illinois to begin the season. I mean, wow. Who would have expected that we'd be talking about this right now, that they would have bounced back to be perfect? So that's a big reflection on the head coach right there. As far as tonight's game, wow, this could get ugly quickly, guys. I don't know how you feel about it. Ohio State's a runaway freight train, and they are the most dominant team in the entire bracket. There's no question about that. They blitzed Tennessee. They blitzed Oregon. They embarrassed two programs that carried college football for most of the year, made them look like they were playing high school football. This is not the same Ohio State team that lost to Michigan. They obviously really took that one hard. They took it to heart. And this is that class of 21, that recruiting class that's so vaunted that Quinn Ewers, ironically, was a part of. And, he was the original NIL athlete coming out of high school, making some bank, and decided that grass was greener at Texas. So I love this matchup because you talk about inner dialogue. What in the world is going through Quinn Ewers' head going into this game?
When he's going to get yanked and they're going to go to Arch Manning? I think that's what he's thinking about.
You bring up a great point. You really do, because a lot of us who have been paying attention to the tea leaves, wow, what a story that would be if the next Manning has to come in and rescue the Texas Longhorns and somehow, some way finds a way to do it. Now, I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think this game is over by the second quarter. I think Ohio State wins easily by 14 points tonight, and I'm way over the line on this one.
Well, we've seen it happen once before with Hurts and Tua.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And I think that was one of those things that we've seen doesn't happen very often. And we've seen their careers blossom and in some cases go backwards in the NFL. But this thing here, you talk about storylines. As a former journalist, I don't know which way to go. I don't know which one to pick. I don't know the headline to go with. I just don't think it's going to be a great football game like last night was. The firepower, the arms race that's on Ohio State's side, Texas is going to have to play the game of the century in order to bring this one home. The defensive line, the guys on the back end and the secondary, man, do they have their work cut out for them tonight. I would not want to be them. And if you are Jeremiah Smith, the glamour and glitzy freshman wide receiver for Ohio State, and you're Travion Henderson, the senior running back from that 21 class, guys, they're licking their chops tonight. They really are.
Well, going back to one of your quotes that stood out to me this afternoon, it's not losing, it's learning. With Ohio State, does that quote fit in perfectly? Yeah, you never want to lose to your rival, but the way that they've played since then, Will Howard is playing his best brand of football. Now, he's played all year long. Chip Kelly's calling his best plays. Jeremiah Smith's been a stud all year long. They still have a bouquet. And then the best running back tandem, I think, in the entirety of all of college football with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. I mean, how much did that loss spur Ohio State into where they are today?
Absolutely, Dave. I mean, that hits the nail on the head. They made the choice, the only one to make, and that was to learn from it. The press was hammering these young guys. You guys lost to Michigan for the fourth straight year, which means you're never going to beat them. You're going to graduate or you're going to go to the NFL having never beaten Michigan. And from what I've heard, that actually means more around there than winning a national championship, which blows my mind. But they have a choice to completely turn that narrative on its head. Now, like you said earlier, I don't like Notre Dame and I don't like Ohio State. So that's so ironic that these two teams are on a crash course. Now, I'm not trying to undersell Texas for anybody listening who's a Texas fan out there. One of them is my boss. But I was trying to let her down easy today saying, look, you need to get mentally prepared for tonight. Because if you almost had a stroke watching the game against Arizona State, which Arizona State should have won that game, Texas got lucky. If you almost had a stroke that night, this could be bad for you. So I said, just be a fan, enjoy it, and realize you have nothing to do with the outcome.
Man, so Quinn Ewers and being there at Ohio State previously and then choosing Texas, that's probably the biggest storyline. What's a storyline that might not be standing out to everyone that is standing out to you?
What's a storyline that's not standing out? Well,
if there is one, there might not be. I'm just kind of picking your brain a little bit.
No, I think NIL as a whole is the showcase for NIL, and literally nobody's talking about that. Again, go back to Quinn Ewers with his bleached hair, out from under his helmet, and me included going, who is this kid? Who does he think he is that he's going to get $1 million coming out of high school going to Ohio State? Like, how is this going to work? So he was the OG face on the Wheaties box, so to say, for NIL. Now, we also know that Ohio State has the $20 million roster. We've been hearing about that since preseason. So you talk about pressure, guys. Look, yeah, you lost to Michigan, but if you don't get to the title game and you don't win, and you have a $20 million roster, a la the Yankees all in the 90s, just overpaying and beating everybody with their payroll.
Texas
so
A&M recently.
To win. Exactly. They're expected to win the World Series every single year. This is the exact same thing on the biggest stage, saying, you guys think you can spend all this money? Well, guess what? You better deliver with a win. All of those supporters, all the people on the board of directors who've been putting all this money in there to pay these kids, wow. You talk about pressure, which is really unfair when it comes down to it. There's pressure enough to get to the title game and then to win the title game. But if you're a young guy and you're making money that is changing your life and the life of your family, which is another topic altogether, which I'd love to talk about down the road. This is NIL on the biggest stage, and it's not going anywhere. So we all better get used to it. We all better have some fun with it and learn to live with it, because this is the NFL in college football.
Switching gears over to the NFL, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We've got Coach Ford on the line with us. Coach Ford, Bucks and Commanders, just in case we don't have time for another segment, but Bucks and Commanders, your thoughts on that. Actually, before we dive into that, your thoughts on Mike Evans, 11 straight years with 1,000 yards in a season, getting the $3 million bonus. Let me ask you this. What do you think was more important to him, the $3 million or the fact that he's in the record books with Jerry Rice?
Equal to Jerry Rice right now.
Knowing what I do about Mike, I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet. I've been around him a few times, even on the back of being on a Twitter post one time because I was getting some transcription quotes from him. But Mike is a really good dude, guys. He is a good dude. He's been through a lot. I don't know if you guys know his story, but a really good heart, a great man, a great father, probably the best teammate I could even imagine. So I'm going to say what was more important to him was getting the win. Yeah. And for his team first, he is the most underrated wide receiver in the league every single year. He's underappreciated. Nobody talks about him. It's really a shame that in year 11, people are just now talking about him. It's really a shame that just now people understand that he's standing side by side with the GOAT, with Jerry Rice. The guy that, me and Caveman Rick grew up watching this dude just trash people week in and week out in the 80s and the 90s. And Mike is right there toe-to-toe. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. The $3 million bonus, I think that was great. Obviously, that's a business move that Baker Mayfield was more than happy to get for him. It helps his family. That's great. He didn't need the money anyway. But to make history for the home fans and for Mike and the Bucks to get that win was much more important than putting that money in his bank account. As far as the game, it's a nerve-wracking game right here. This is the one that most people are picking, that the road team will come in and win. And I really don't have a debate against that. And the reason being, watch this game up close, game number 1 this season. You go back. You have, your rookie Jaden Daniels coming out there showing out on day 1, his first ever pro game. And, yeah, we won by 17 points, but that doesn't tell the whole story. If there had been 5 more minutes in that game, JD might have brought those guys all the way back. And so now, with the regular season full of experience and single-handedly beating the Atlanta Falcons on national television a couple weeks ago, this game is scary. I mean, the Bucs are favored by 3, and it really could come down to 3 or less points in that game.
How you were talking about Mike Evans just a little bit ago, I was thinking it's a lot akin to a guy like a Frank Gore that didn't get a lot of credit for a lot of years. Didn't matter which team he was on, who his quarterback was, what the situation was, OC, head coach. Dude was still down to get 1,000 yards no matter what. And, Mike Evans kind of the same way. Did benefit from a few years of having Tom Brady there, but, regardless of who was there throwing him the ball, still pretty impressive to go 11 straight years with 1,000 yards. So, yeah, big ups to him. And I mean, he's still going. Jerry Rice has got 13 years, right, of 1,000 yards. So he can still possibly catch him. We'll see what happens next year if he can keep it rolling.
Yeah, Mike takes great care of himself. And what a lot of people don't see, if you're not there live, Mike does have some bit of load management in game. He takes about 2 plays off for each series just to save his body a little bit. He's pretty banged up. 11 years in the league, Mike has taken some serious shots. You go on YouTube, you can see he has been pounded. But the dude is tough as nails. He gets right back up. And funny thing is, most of the touchdowns, most of the passes that Mike Evans has caught came from all people, Jameis Winston.
Yeah, how about that?
So you talk about a dude who made Jameis look really, really good, caught a lot of bad balls. And that makes Mike look even better when you drop that name.
Well, I think you can also attribute the fact that Johnny Manziel won the Heisman. Does he win that Heisman without Mike Evans? Do they beat Alabama without Mike Evans?
That's a great point. That's when I learned who Mike was. When I saw what they did against Alabama that day, I was like, who is this dude, Mike Evans, just torching people? And he was a lot bigger back then. I think he was drinking a lot of protein shakes back then.
There you go. Well, let's get a little rapid fire here from the wild card round of the playoffs. Chargers, Texans. Who do you got winning there?
I got Texans on toughness alone.
Ooh.
They're winning that one. I love their head coach, defensive guy. The Chargers are much improved. Obviously, with Harbaugh in the house, he has willed that team. I got the Texans at home on that one.
I mean, I like that. We're getting a lot of Chargers picks here, mainly because of the injuries with the Texans. But, hey, there you go. Texans, and you feel strongly about it. Steelers at the Ravens Saturday night.
Ravens are really taking this one quickly. The Steelers are limping into the playoffs. They're not the 10-3 team that they were just a few weeks ago. They have struggled a lot, and they're just not going to be able to stop the entire offense that's going on with the Ravens. Lamar is a freak of nature, and he is going to absolutely have a field day with the Steelers. I think this one goes over the line of 9.5 easy.
Sunday to kick it off, the Broncos and the Bills. And a reminder, all of these games will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Broncos and the Bills get us started on Sunday, and that spread has dropped down from 9 to 8.5 points in favor of the Bills. Who do you have in that game, Coach?
Yeah, that's crazy. The Bills are taking this one. This is where they finally realize who they are, who they should have been 3 years ago. They're not afraid of the Chiefs anymore, and I think they have them right in their sights. And so they're going to dispose of the Broncos pretty easily in this one.
All right, moving on to the second game on Sunday. The Packers and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been cleared from concussion protocol.
Yeah, unless the Eagles don't come to the stadium, this was up with its shut. The Packers are not the same team that they were last year. They're a lot weaker. They've been really banged up by injuries. In fact, they're pretty lucky that they've even gotten to this point. The Eagles are going to win this. I'm going to watch this closely, though, having said that, because if we take care of business with the Bucs at home and the Packers upset the Eagles, we would get another home game the next week.
Ooh, and that keeps you at the stadium for another week, right?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I'm actually not going to be there this weekend. I got word yesterday that they're doing third-party transcription for post-game, so I was not invited down this weekend, so that was a bit of a punch in the gut, but it's okay. I get to be a fan, get to do the nachos and the wings on Sunday night and be with the family.
Which way do you prefer watching a game? Because I guess when you're there at the stadium, do you get to watch the entirety of the game?
Oh yeah, it's a totally different experience. I tell my family all the time, it's not comparable. So I've got gourmet food in the press box that I can eat for 8 straight hours. Everything's there. You can name it. It's there. You got chefs. You've got ice cream. You've got desserts. You've got anything you could possibly want. So you talk about having to really watch your waistline when you're there. When you're at home, you can say whatever you want. You can yell at the TV. And I can't do that in the press box. You have to be dead quiet.
Yes, I know. I know how that goes, and yeah, they do. I don't know about about every stadium, but most of the stadiums that I've been to, the food is top notch. All right, moving on to the next game, the Commanders Bucks. Give me a score prediction for that game.
Well, I'm not going to be a homer here. I'm going to be honest. If Baker and the offense does what they're supposed to do, with Liam Cohen, the OC has done an incredible job this year. I'll be shocked if we can retain him and he doesn't take a head coaching job somewhere. If the Bucs take care of business and expose Jaden for being the rookie that he is and actually lock into him, I say that they win by 2. It's still going to be close. It's going to be tough. The Bucs win this one.
All right, and then finally, Monday evening, that game will start right here on ESPN at 6:30 for a 7 p.m. kickoff. The Vikings and the Rams, and that game has been moved to Arizona due to the wildfires in Los Angeles. So, of course, continued thoughts and prayers with those in the Los Angeles area. Who do you have in the Vikings and Rams game, Coach?
Yeah, this is arguably the most interesting one because this is a neutral site game. This is like a college football playoff, right? So this is actually pretty exciting for a football fan. takes away the home field advantage completely from the Rams, which is a disadvantage for them.
They don't
So
have
I'd
one
say the
usually
Vikings-
anyway. Being in LA and they
That's
share
true.
that stadium, it's pretty much home, for whoever's playing them, I think, for most of the
Yeah,
time.
all you have is familiarity for the locker rooms for the players at that point. I get what you're saying. I got the Vikings on the road on this one. They they come back from the punch in the jaw at the hands of the Lions last weekend. They got embarrassed, and I don't think the Vikings are that team. I say they take out their frustrations on the Rams, put the Rams in their place. They win this one by 10.
All right, Coach Ford, thank you so much for all the insight and all of the great conversation that we've had for over an hour now on the Afternoon Underdogs. And next time that we have you on with us, it will be here in the studio. You need to come spend a whole 4 to 6 with me and Caveman Rick here on a Friday.
Oh, I can't wait to saddle up and put the headphones back on, guys. That's going to be great.
Oh, yeah, man. We'll make that happen sooner than later. Coach Ford, you have a great day and enjoy that Commanders and Bucks game Sunday evening.
You too, guys. Have a great weekend of football. If you're a football fan, this is church. Appreciate you guys, and be strong out there.
Right on. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I've been thinking about having him on for a full 2-hour show. I hit him up before the show. Well, actually, he texted me. He was like, hey, if we can get callers on while I'm on, make that happen. I was like, we've only got one line right now that we can put on the air. So we got to get him here in the studio with us and maybe field some calls or get some athletes in and, put them underneath interrogation with Coach Dave Ford. But that was a very fun hour of radio with Coach Ford, and did a great job and gave us some great answers. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, me and Caveman Rick will keep it rolling with the wild card round of the NFL playoffs.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer, push it in. College basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming, Rampant.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday evening. As we head into tonight, clouds and very light showers and a low of 45 with a moderate breeze at 15 miles per hour out of the northwest. For tomorrow morning, clouds and a temp near 47. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a high around 49. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorrento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
He stuck his head in the microwave and chanted Hot Pocket. Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs.
Hope you're drunk or heading home to a trailer.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
That's Caveman Rick in the microwave. We had to make sure that thing was unplugged though, because he found a way to cut a hole in the microwave door so that he could
live, laugh.
Oh, we're just talking all over the sounder here. We'll bring it back to it though. As soon as that bump.
Live, laugh, microwave bath.
Live, laugh, microwave bath for who? Who's that live, laugh, microwave bath for? Is for Caveman Rick. And Bone Crusher's got a great sounder for us that we try to play every time that we remember it. And what's that thing sound like, Bone Crusher? Yeah, I want to hear it again so I can actually hear it. You used to watch that cartoon a lot, Caveman Rick?
I just watch all the cartoons on that, like the Hanna-Barbera, whatever. Cartoon Express was part of that, along with a bunch of other ones like Jabberjaw, that shark, and then Grape Ape, big like gorilla that rode on top of a van and driven by a little dog. Grape Ape. Blue Falcon, shows like that. So
Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah, Hong Kong Phooey. Yep, forgot about him. They had All-Star Olympics, something like that. Yeah.
All-Star Olympics. I don't know if I ever watched that.
Or like Laugh Olympics is what it was.
Oh, the Laugh Olympics.
I think. It was all the Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters all competing in kind of like it was like a Olympic kind of a thing, like like event type deal or whatever.
It was LAFF.
Yeah,
Olympics, not an O but an A, right?
Yeah, Laugh Olympics or whatever.
I do actually remember watching.
And then
that.
they had the like Space Ghost, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Space Ghost is pretty popular. There's one that was like kind of like Conan. I can't think of the name of it, but they were like living like in prehistoric times, and it was like fire-breathing dragons and all kinds of weird stuff too. But yeah, cartoons, man, of the 80s, man, all kinds of crazy stuff. It was great.
Oh, there you
great
go.
Stuff.
Caveman Rick hitting us up with all of the Hanna-Barbera.
Saturday mornings, man. I actually do. On Sunday, we do wrestling here, right? A lot of wrestling stuff.
Speaking of, yes, continue on with
I was going to say that Cartoon Express or whatever, I want to say came on some Sundays, and then like right after that, it went to WWF for like an hour. So there was like cartoons and then wrestling.
Oh, there you go, man. Well, speaking of Wrestling Against Cancer 10 is going to be February 8th. On the 17th and the 24th, and I believe the 7th, we're going to have Jack Patterson and probably some wrestlers in here with us as well. All proceeds go to Ryan Holland, which is actually my cousin. He's been dealing with a rare form of cancer. Had to spend a lot of time up there in New York as well, because that was the only place that could specialized in his form of cancer, which, don't ask me to say the name of it. I can't pronounce it. I've tried many times. It's like right up here in his nasal area. I remember before he actually got diagnosed, I went over to see him and I was helping him put up a shed, and I was like thinking in my head, like, dude, what's going on with your face? But I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to make him feel bad. It felt like he had like a huge pimple on his face, but it wasn't, but it was almost more like a knot. And then, he got the diagnosis and everything. And it's been a very tough ride for him, but he's, making the best of it. And shout out to Kristen Taylor for his fiance for everything that she's done along the way. As any of you know, if you're listening right now and you have a family member or you yourself has dealt with cancer, it's not a cheap process at all, and this is not going to even make a dent in the expenses that they have acquired to this point, if you will. But for me, it's not just about helping with the expenses. Ryan was a wrestler. This is the first time that I'm aware of that Jack Patterson has put on 10 installments now of Wrestling Against Cancer. This is the first time that it's a part of their family, their wrestling family. And these guys, I've been behind the scenes with them. They are family. A lot of them are really close friends. Waylon Barley is going to be the one kind of putting together the show. Jack Patterson obviously is getting out there and promoting and doing all of that great stuff. I want to see Bay Haven Charter Academy absolutely packed out. You guys have done a great job to the point, to this point. The 3, 4, 5 times that I've been involved with it, I've loved every second of it. I don't even know if I'm going to be doing any of the announcing. I know I'm going to be there. That's all I can tell you is I know that I'm going to be there, and I'll do whatever I'm asked to do. But I would love to see that place where there's no room. I'm having to, Jack's like, go get chairs. That's how I want to see this place on February 10th. So do me a favor. If you've been listening to me for a while, mark this on your calendars. If you've been listening to this station, if you've been listening to the Afternoon Underdogs, do me a favor and let's pack this place out. Get your family there. Your kids will love it. I promise you this. They will buy into the show. They'll buy into it just based on the fact that everyone else in the crowd is buying into it, and they're there for the wrestlers. They're there for the experience, and it's a very fun experience. And that's, again, it will be that way. So February 10th, Wrestling Against Cancer 10 at Bay Haven Charter Academy. Doors are going to open at I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't have it in front of me, but I would imagine 6:30 or 5:30, and the bell will ring at 6. But we've got a month until then. Just say, hey Siri or hey Google or whoever you talk to
We got
on
that
your phone.
posted at our webpage, ESPNPC.com.
Boom. Bone Crusher always there for the finer details of what we got going on. And if you don't hear much from Bone Crusher, trust and believe he does a lot.
I'm the web administrator.
He does a lot for wait, what did you say?
Web administrator.
Oh, web administrator, but
crushing some WordPress.
That's one of the hats that he wears. He wears plenty of hats here around the building at ESPN Northwest Florida. We're very thankful for you.
Everyone's doing their thing to help us crush cancer, man. It's a team effort, so I'm just glad to be on the team.
Absolutely. So, you head on over there to ESPNPC.com. In fact, you can find a lot of information on that website, one of those being the Holland Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express, and you need to get the app so you can take us with you where you go. But Wrestling Against Cancer 10 holds a very special place in my heart. I haven't been promoting it very heavy yet because if I say a lot about it early on and then we, wane off of it, now we're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty of it. We're a month away from it as of today, February. Actually, I think I'm saying the wrong date because I'm looking at this date. I believe it's actually February 8th at Bayhaven Charter Academy. February 8th. Put that in your calendar, Wrestling Against Cancer 10. All right, I gave that a lot of love there, but it holds a special place in my heart. Caveman Rick, on to the NFL playoffs. Chargers at the Texans. Which quarterback do you trust in more, C.J. Stroud or Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert, I did not even know this statistic about him this year. Has only thrown 3 interceptions this year, which is good for best in the league, the lowest in the league. Just 3 interceptions. Which quarterback do you trust more, though? Does C.J. Stroud find a way to turn it on here in the final game, which could be the final game of this season for them? Or do you trust more in Justin Herbert?
I'm picking the Chargers in this game. I have more faith, I believe, in Justin Herbert. I think, he obviously has been in the league longer. He's been around. Like you just mentioned, 3 interceptions, pretty impressive. I didn't know it was that low. I didn't know he was the lead leader. But if you heard 3, you kind of figure you're probably going to be the lead leader unless there's some minimum, number of games they're using and, somebody played and didn't throw but like 2. But I doubt that. You usually got to play like for a season for that to count. 7, 8, 9 games, something. Anyways, Justin Herbert, when he came out of college, pro-ready quarterback, was probably the most pro-ready quarterback, they said, coming in. Except for, people, prognosticators on the show like AG or boy Adam. Sorry, Adam. Most people will tell you Herbert's probably a pretty decent quarterback.
Yeah, he's
serviceable. He's a franchise. He's a franchise quarterback.
He's not Triple H. He's Double H.
But considering all the woes that the Texans have had injury wise, offensive line kind of banged up, plus being a little soft right now too. I think. It's not going to look good, I don't think, for the Chargers. I think the Chargers come out. Jim Harbaugh, man, he's a tough head coach. He's got his team playing well. He's going to have them coached up, schemed up well. We've seen him do stuff before, whether it being like coaching the 49ers or when he's coached before in college. I just got a lot of faith in that guy. I think he's going to come prepared and ready to go. We got the team rejuvenated. So I think, the Chargers win this one, pretty easy, and I got more faith in Justin Herbert than I do in C.J. Stroud at this point.
All right, man. Well, we are kind of coming up on our final segment of the afternoon, so I'm not going to break just yet, Bone Crusher. I was just kind of setting the table, the things that I want to go through. Obviously, I want you to get your picks in, Bone Crusher. Anything that you want to say about these games, but the 2 things that I want to go through with each game is the stat to know about the game, and then the betting nugget. I love giving away the betting nuggets. The stat to know, which I just love these small stats or these stats that are huge. You're not going to find it in the show sheet. With a win Saturday, the Chargers coach, Jim Harbaugh, would become the 2nd head coach in NFL history to win a playoff game in his first season with 2 different teams. Do you know who the other coach was?
2 teams, first time coach. Andy Reid?
All right, good. You got the wrong answer. Here's why I'm saying good, because we just got a new sponsor on deck, Major's Smokehouse, right? They're right over there by the Bailey Bridge in Lynn Haven. So with that being said, who is the other coach who won a playoff game in his first season with 2 different teams? Right now, for a $25 gift certificate from now until the end of the show, who was the first head coach in NFL history to win a playoff game in his first season with 2 different teams? I almost read off the answer right there. I'm glad that I stopped. The betting nugget for this game, again, 850-215-6290 is the number to call. $25 to Major Smokehouse, which Ian Malone was on with us yesterday, gave a great review about the place. They've got some great barbecue. You want to check it out. Give me an answer. Google it away. It's very easy. I know you guys do that all the time. The betting nugget, 11 of the Texans' 17 games this season went under the total, which is tied with the Giants for the highest under rate in the NFL. The unders were 7-1 in Houston home contest in 2024. So if you're looking to bet the over the under, and I feel kind of strongly about that as well, not having the number right in front of me, but it's 41.5, which is kind of a low total. How do you feel about that, over or under?
Well, like what you're saying about, the Texans, but that was in home games, right? They're 7-1.
But they're at the house.
Right. I'm saying, but against maybe not the greatest, I don't want to say not the greatest competition, but I would think that is kind of a low under. I would think that you'd think that there'd be more points being scored, but being the playoffs, when playoff time happens, a lot of times you don't see those big shootouts. We have seen them recently when you've had teams like, the Bengals playing against teams like the Chiefs and stuff like that. So we've seen some bigger scoring games. That's probably going to be closer to probably what it's going to be, because I can imagine, too, if, say the Chargers were to kind of get up on the Houston Texans, I don't want to say they're going to take the foot off the gas, but they're going to want to make a run, and I definitely think, they might, have some players with some load management taking some plays off. And so if that happens, the scoring might be a little low. All things being said, though, I still probably think the over, by just maybe a couple points.
All right, man. Well, we are running out of time. Chargers, Texans, who you got? I'm going Chargers.
Chargers.
All right, Bone Crusher, who you got? Chargers, Texans.
Texans.
Okay, all right. Aligning with Coach Ford. We've got 5 more games to go through here for the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, and we're listening to your picks. Also, which head coach, the first head coach in NFL history, was to win a playoff game in his first season with 2 different teams? Who was the first head coach in NFL history to win a playoff game in his first season with 2 different teams? For your opportunity to win $25 to Majors Smokehouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're keeping it rolling with a wild card round of the NFL playoffs when we return.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
We need to rebrand rest in 2025. We live in a rise and grind society, and when we chill, we say things like, we're lazy, and it's bed rot. In 2025, we're cocooning, a.k.a. we're taking a page out of the old Caterpillar's book. We're going to intentionally rest so we can emerge our best selves and let those beautiful butterflies fly.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday evening. As we head into tonight, clouds and very light showers, and a low of 45 with a moderate breeze at 15 miles per hour out of the northwest. For tomorrow morning, clouds and a temp near 47. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a high around 49. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
And we're we're back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs in the Doghouse with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher. Taking your calls at 850-215-6290. And we're still looking for an answer to the trivia question: who was the first head coach to win a playoff game in his first season with two different teams? But we're moving right along the line. If you'd like $25 to Major's Smokehouse, then call in now and give me that answer. Steelers at the Ravens. This game will also be on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage will be starting right around 7 p.m. As well as the kick there. The stat to know: Steelers running back Najee Harris has averaged 4 yards per rush this season, which is 35th out of 44 qualified players. His minus 0.01 yards per rush gained over expectation ranks 31st in the NFL. He was a running back that I had throughout the season in fantasy football, and some weeks it worked out, but that was kind of earlier in the season. Jaylen Warren came back, and it didn't work out so well. One thing we do know, when it comes to playoff football, you've got to run the rock well. Do the Steelers... They've limped into the playoffs. Do they have an opportunity, Caveman Rick, to overtake the Ravens in Baltimore and win this game?
Unfortunately, if you're a Steelers fan, I'm going to have to probably say no. I think Baltimore Ravens, they're a Super Bowl favorite. I picked them before the season started to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I don't think that was a bad pick. I'm still sticking with that pick. I just think that, they're on a roll. They got a lot of momentum. The only thing that may stop the Ravens from, winning this game is going to be the Ravens themselves. Maybe Lamar Jackson has a subpar game, fumbles the ball or throws some, unfortunate picks or something like that. But like I said earlier in the week, Derrick Henry, man, this is his best opportunity he's pretty much ever had to win a Super Bowl. He did have the 1 seed that 1 year with Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, but let's face it, when you guys were a 1 seed that year, were you guys really the 1 seed? Would you really say?
Yes, when you have the best record in the AFL or in the AFC, then you are the 1 seed.
Did you have the best chance to win the Super Bowl that year? You get what I'm saying? Just because you got the 1 seed,
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, that that's like, what is Ohio State the 1 seed, like in the college football playoff right now? At the end of the day, you do what you do. People feel like the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL this year? Do you feel like the Chiefs are the best team in the Okay, all right. So at the end of the day, all of that stuff is because it was the brand of the Titans, people felt like that. Right. And they ended up being proven right that year as well.
They fell short. I'm just trying to say, Derrick Henry, in his mind, even being part of that team, has probably got to think this is his best opportunity to win a Super Bowl. The best, team he's probably been a part of. That's what I'm kind of getting at. All that being said, he's got a lot of motivation, right? Like I said earlier in the week, I think Derrick Henry by himself is probably going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Point-wise, getting a lot of yards. I mean, the guy, if they let him go, he's gonna keep running. And so, John Harbaugh says, you know what, buddy, we're going to pull you out now because we need you for next week, in next week's game for whoever we're going to play. So
Ravens are a 9.5-point favorite in this game. Derrick Henry. I'm right there with you. I got the Ravens winning.
Those 8 Flowers, I still got the Ravens winning easy.
Still got the Ravens winning. Bone Crusher, Ravens or the Steelers?
Yeah, I'd love for the Steelers to win, but I don't see an angle for that, so it's probably going to be the Ravens.
And your betting nugget for this game: 6 of the past 7 Steelers road games have gone over the total. 5 of the Ravens' past 6 home games have gone over the total, so the over is looking nice. Broncos at the Bills. The stat to know: the Bills have turned over the ball only 8 times in the regular season, which is tied with the 2019 Saints for the fewest since turnovers were first tracked in 1933. We've only got about 9 minutes here. Broncos and the Bills, your thoughts for this game, Caveman Rick?
I think the Broncos had a big game last week, shutting out the Chiefs. Some people argue that the Chiefs lay down in that one just so that they didn't have to play the Bengals. I don't know about that. I don't believe in all that necessarily, especially to get shut out and score no points. I think because of that, they had their high last week. It's going to be pretty tough to repeat that, and get a win. I think, the Broncos are going to have some problems here. Like I said, I think, Chargers they're primed. Jim Harbaugh's got that team, looking and playing pretty well, have them schemed, coached up. So, give me the Chargers in this one.
All right. Who do you got in this game?
I'm just looking forward to watching Bo Nix and the Broncos. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch.
All right. I'm going Bills. I think that it could be a fun game to watch.
I said Chargers. Yeah, Bills. My bad.
Yeah, okay.
Talking about the last one.
I got to go with the Bills to win this one pretty handedly for the most part, but I do agree with you. It could end up being fun to watch. I just think with the Bills being at the house, the Broncos are going to be somewhat overinflated from that game that they just played against second stringers against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So we'll see how it plays out. The betting nugget for this one over the past 10 seasons, rookie quarterbacks are 0-5 outright and 1-4 against the spread in road playoff games. So we'll see how that plays out. The Packers and the Eagles, this one will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, coverage starting around 3:30. The stat to know, the Packers scored 30-plus points in 5 of their 7 final games, including 5 straight contests in week 12 through 16. That's the second longest streak in franchise history after a 7-game streak in 1963. Being a big Eagles fan, what do you have on this game, Caveman Rick?
Yeah, Green Bay's coming into town, banged up Jordan Love, no Christian Watson. Their defense still pretty good. They got a decent running game with Josh Jacobs. All things being said, I mean, weather shouldn't be a problem for them. It's Green Bay, right? So the only thing that they're going to have a problem with is a hostile environment playing, in Philadelphia in front of the fans. Jalen Hurts is playing. He's in the game. So as long as he doesn't get knocked out into some other kind of concussion protocol, I think Eagles are going to run with Saquon Barkley. We'll, chuck the ball around when we have opportunities with the play action, get Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown involved, get them kind of warmed up and lubed up, getting primed for next week and see who we play next week.
Getting lubed up. Yeah. Jalen Hurts cleared concussion protocol. I'm going to go for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think even if Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, Jordan Love wasn't playing, then it becomes a Joshua Jacobs and Malik Willis combination versus either Kenny Pickett, Tanner McKee, and Saquon Barkley. Give me Saquon, and I love Josh Jacobs, but Saquon Barkley has been on a tear this year. I like the receiving core a little bit better for the Eagles as well, right? Because Christian Watson averaging like 21.4 yards per catch this year, which is absolutely insane. I like the Eagles in this game, and I like them to cover the spread, which is sitting at 5.5 points. The betting nugget for this particular game. The Eagles are 9-3 against the spread. That 5.5 is looking pretty good right now. In their past 12 games, they've covered in 3 straight home games as well. So we're sweeping out there with the Eagles as we move to the nightcap for Sunday night. And this game will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, coverage starting around 7. The stat to know, since the wild card was introduced back in 1978, this matchup will mark the 4th instance of 2 teams meeting in the wild card round after averaging 28-plus points per game in the regular season. Jaden Daniels has been, it almost reminds me of Justin Herbert coming on the scene with the Chargers back in his rookie season. A guy that, well, no, I can't say that because Jaden Daniels was your Heisman winner, right? But there was so much talk about Caleb Williams that you really didn't hear as much about Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix. Bo Nix really wasn't expected, at least for the most part, to have the season that he's had. But Jaden Daniels, when you're talking about rookie quarterbacks, it's like, all right, if you're leading your team in the right direction, but the fact that for 10 weeks of the season, you didn't know if it was going to be the Commanders or the Eagles to win the NFC East. I know from your perspective, it always felt like definitely going to be the Eagles, but from the outside, it was like, hey, the Commanders could do this, and they played very strong against y'all. And no, they beat y'all the last time that they played y'all, right?
Oh, the Commanders?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season?
No. Wait, who was it that they beat? They beat y'all last time that y'all played.
I believe early in the season.
No, last time that y'all played, didn't they beat y'all?
No, all right, so if early in the season, we had our 2 losses, right? I believe maybe one of them was against them earlier on in the first few weeks. But I can't recall, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to look up the schedule real quick because I felt like they beat you by in the waning moments of the game. Yeah, they beat you 36-33 on December 22nd. 36-33 right at the end of the season. So, I mean, at that point, y'all had already had the division, I believe, wrapped up, and I don't think Jalen Hurts might have been playing in that game, though, because that wasn't the final week of the season. He missed, the final 2 games?
This year, yes. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, yeah. So I think Jalen Hurts, I think that would have been the game that Jalen Hurts got injured in. actually.
Yeah, actually, okay, yeah, it was. It was the concussion game. That's right, yeah.
All right. So we're moving right along here to the stats to know from this game. Or who do you have in this game? Who do you got? Commanders, Bucks.
Oh, we talked about it earlier. Earlier in the week, I got the Bucks in this one. I'm going to go with the more proven quarterback team that's kind of been there. You know, Jaden Daniels had a great, run. Young quarterback. We've talked about too some of those stats. Rookie quarterbacks, playing in the playoffs first time. Kind of iffy. I like Baker Mayfield in the Bucks.
Who you got in this one, Bone Crusher?
It's going to be 35-30 Tampa.
All right. And wait, what did you say the score was going to be?
35-30.
Oh, I like that's going to be that'll be a very fun playoff game. And again, you can listen to that one right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. For your betting nugget, 4 straight Bucks games have gone over the total. Overs are 12-5 in Bucks games this season, including 11-3 in their past 14. So the overs outside of the Chargers and the Texans are looking pretty good to this point. And our final game, which this game was going to be played at the Rams SoFi Stadium. However, it has now moved to Arizona due to the wildfires over there in Los Angeles. The statistic to know, the Vikings, Sam Darnold is seeking to become the 6th starting quarterback since 1966 to win his first career postseason start while playing for his 4th team or later. Of the previous 5, 3 went on to reach the Super Bowl that season. Caveman Rick, Vikings and the Rams. What do you have in this game, and who do you have to win?
In this game, it being a neutral site game now, I think it's kind of I think it helps out the Rams, actually, because the Rams are usually kind of like in a road kind of situation anyways because of where they play. They're still going to be closer to home, even though, they have to travel a little bit. It might help a little bit getting away from the whole chaos scene that's in the L.A. area. Might kind of ease their minds and stuff a little bit. All that being said, though, I like the Rams in this game, actually. I think the Rams could have a good showing here. Sean McVay, I mean, hey, he's been there before, right? He's played, coached in big games. They have a lot of weapons there. Kyron Williams, Puka, Cooper Kupp, guys that, haven't had that great of a season based off of, injury and stuff that they had going on this season. So I think this is an opportunity now for them to show out and, have a good showing, make some plays. So, yeah, give me the Rams here.
Bone Crusher?
Yeah, man. Southern California reeling with fires. They need a win. Go with the Rams.
All right. That's a great sentiment. And I'm like, now I'm feeling bad because, no, I'm serious. I'm like, well,
Minnesota.
But I got to go with the team that I've been riding with prior to the season start. And once it was announced Sam Darnold was going to be the starter, I've liked him since Penn State USC, since that Rose Bowl that year. It didn't work out with the Panthers. It obviously didn't work out with the Jets. But I think that he's on to something this year. Didn't show it in 3 of the games this year, but in 14, he's looked pretty good. We'll see how it plays out. I think the Vikings get away with the win here. I do not think, however, that they're going to end up winning the Super Bowl, but we'll see. Your betting nugget before we get out of here. The Vikings are 6-2 against the spread in their past 8 games. They are 5-1 against the spread in their past 6 games when they were favored. That's going to do it for us this week. For Bone Crusher, Caveman Rick, I'm David Hayes. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next is Ohio State and Texas, so keep it locked in for the pregame coverage and the kick at 6:30. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I.
Home for the NFL. ESPN Northwest Florida.
NFL playoffs live here. Tomorrow, the postseason starts with wild card action. It's the Los Angeles Chargers at the Houston Texans. Coverage starts at 3, kickoff at 3:30, followed by the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Plus, it's a wild card triple header on Sunday. Listen live in ultra high fidelity right here on your home for the NFL on the Gulf Coast, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN.